Skinny Hardaway 7T. We're back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, do your boy solid. Hit that thumbs up. If this your first time, don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button as well. I ain't gonna hold up too much of y'all time because y'all know them baseball games about to start. And I gotta make my bets and my parlays and things. But I just want to run something by y'all real quick, right? I was just sitting here, thinking to myself, right? We in the midst of this Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, contract situation, fight or no fight, clout or no cap, clout, right? Cap or no cap, right? We're in the midst of this big old fiasco with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, right? And the biggest thing with this is right money issue, right? Percentages and things like that, right? Splits and stuff, right? I want this much amount of money, you want to give me this much, right? If you want to fight, you'll just take it. If you really want to fight, then you'll give me what I want, right? So, you know, no matter what side you pick, right, whether you feel like Shakur in the wrong because he should just take it, right? He called him out. He undisputed. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. You take the fight, then you make your own rules, right? Or you feel like David Haney is wrong because he lowballing Shakur Stevenson, right? If David Haney really wanted that fight, he'll make Shakur Stevenson a better offer. You know what I mean? Than the offer that he made of getting 25%, right? And it's so basically like we basically stepping outside of the ring, right? This is it's two things, right? It's boxing and it's the business of boxing, right? More so the problem with this thing right here is the business of boxing. The business of boxing is getting in the way of what's going on, right? So whether you feel a way about it, right? Whether you feel like it's Devin Haney fault, it's Shakur Stevenson fault, right? This situation kind of reminds me of another situation that happened about 2 years ago, like 2021, something like that, right? Involving Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson versus Jamel Herring, right? Y'all remember that Shakur Stevenson was supposed to fight Jamel Herring about a year before he ended up fighting, right? Jamel Herring and Josh Warrington had their whole thing where they fight got pushed back like a year or so. So, Shakur Stevenson was the interim WBO champ, waiting on Jamel Herring and Josh Warrington to, unify to fight for their straps, right? Jamel Herring ended up beating Josh Warrington, and then eventually Shakur Stevenson ended up getting his fight, right? There was a rift in Jamel Herring and Shakur Stevenson fight, right? Uh, Jamel Herring felt like that Shakur Stevenson and his side was trying to lowball, the fight, right? They had mandated Herring versus Shakur Stevenson, and Shakur Stevenson got, what was it? He got like 63% of the split, and Jamel Herring got 37% of the split. At this time, Jamel Herring was actually the person who was the champion, right? Jamel Herring was the actual champion, and Shakur Stevenson was the guy that ended up getting A side in that fight. And originally, the fight wasn't going to happen because Jamel Herring was upset. What's good, Bruce Gas, Black Star Sports TV? Because Jamel Herring was upset, with the splits. But all in all, Jay Prince, who was Shakur Stevenson's manager, he ended up stepping in and he ended up covering the difference between both sides. And the fight ended up going on. The fight happened in Atlanta, in which I was in attendance. See Shakur Stevenson fight Jamel Herring. Extremely good fight. Shout out to them brothers. But that kind of just got me thinking, right? It was a big rift with the splits in between, between Shakur and Jamel Herring, right? And that fight almost didn't happen. But the thing that I want to hit on is when all this was happening, right? And if you read the tweet, like you read the cover when you came in, when all this happened, Shakur Stevenson, he told Jamel Herring, right? Jamel Herring voiced the problem with the splits, which I'm about to show y'all, right? We're gonna bring this thing up. I'm about to show y'all, right? This is Jamel Herring had a problem, with the splits, right? Jamel Herring said this. You see the date on it, 8/2/21. So you don't got to take my word for it, right? 8/2/21. Jamel Herring said, for the past couple of weeks, I thought the fight was basically a done deal. I've agreed to everything my team brought to the table. So this bid comes as a shock, but I'm more blown away and shocked by the purse split. This is how they do you when they don't want you. This is how they do you when they want you to quit or they want you to walk away. It's kind of blurry, and I'm reading from what y'all reading too, right? But if you look closely, right, you could see that it says Jamel Herring is to get 37% of the split, and Shakur Stevenson is to get 63% of the split, right? No, Jamel Herring is the current champion in this division right now. And he's been forced to get right 37%. But that's not even what I'm talking about, right? Basically, what I'm talking about right now is what Shakur Stevenson had to say, right? Shakur Stevenson told Jamel Herring, right? He was like, relax. It's just business, my man. When Jamel Herring voiced his displeasure, right, with the splits, and he said, this how they do you when they don't want you to fight, when they want you to walk away or want you to quit. Shakur Stevenson told Jamel Herring, relax. It's business, my man. You know what I mean? So in the midst of all this Devin Haney and this Shakur Stevenson back and forth, right? Who get this split? Who get that split? That right there kind of just rung a bell for me, right? Because when you got the gun, right, it's just business, right? But when the rabbit got the gun, right, it's I'm being unfairly treated and I know my worth and I deserve more. You know what I mean? I just want to kind of just put that out there for a second. You know what I mean? It's just something that ran across my mind real quick. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long up on it. You know what I mean? But I just remember like when Jamel Herring had a problem with his split, Shakur Stevenson told that man it was just business. You know what I mean? And Jay Prince ended up saying, you know what? I'll cover that, right? And I'll split the difference. And Jamel Herring and Shakur Stevenson ended up fighting. You know what I mean? But Shakur Stevenson told Jamel Herring that it was just business. So my thing is, if it's just business, if you've been hollering that you want to fight Devin Haney and you finally get an opportunity, you finally get a contract and you get a shot, you know what I mean? You feel like, oh, I'm worth more than this. But when it was Jamel Herring, it was just business. So when Devin Haney tell you it's just business, when people say, man, you got to take it, you got to leave it, right? What's different from back then when it was Jamel Herring and now when it's Shakur Stevenson? You know what I mean? But like Shakur Stevenson said, man, it really is just business. And if you know you go beat Devin, like you say, you know Devin easy work, like you said, you know you go expose Devin, like you said, you take that 25%, you dust Devin up, and then you call the shots, you be the A side. After that, you got one fight, 125% until you're undisputed. You know what I mean? And you admitted on the same Twitter that you was the B side to Oscar Valdez, right? You about to fight Devin Haney. You know what I mean? Devin Haney and Lomachenko just got paid more than your highest payday, right? So I'm sure you fight Devin Haney, y'all go get paid y'all highest payday, right? It's for undisputed. It'll be an undisputed fight. Why wouldn't it be your highest payday? Oscar Valdez ain't, a bigger star than Devin Haney. You know what I mean? He don't have more straps than Devin Haney. You know what I mean? He don't got Lomachenko in, right? So if it's just business, man, I think it need to be just business all the way around, right? If it's easy work, go handle it. Just like you told Jamel Herring, man, 75-25, it's just business. It ain't nothing personal. Go dust Devin off. Go get them undisputed, right? But I ain't gonna hold y'all too long. I just want to come put something on y'all brain, right? Sometimes people forget how soon people forget, right? This was 2021. They offered Jamel Herring 37%. He voiced his displeasure. He said, this is what they do when they don't want to fight. They want you to quit or walk away. And then Shakur came like, bro, relax. Ain't nobody trying to get you to walk away. It's just business. So relax, Shakur Stevenson. Devin Haney ain't trying to get you to walk away. It's just business. You know what? We could be talking about Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson. Instead, we talking about purse splits. At first, the nigga was talking about signing a contract, right? Come to find out, it wasn't even no contract for him to sign. And y'all jumped on that and ran with that, right? But Devin Haney actually sent him a contract, a real one, right? How can Devin Haney sign a contract that ain't there? And Devin Haney ended up being the one that sent him the contract, right? But anyway, I digress. So sign the contract. You know what I mean? You told Devin Haney to sign a contract when there wasn't one. You didn't talk yourself into an undisputed fight that you don't deserve, right? Sign the contract. But I ain't gonna keep y'all in this thing too long, man. Skinny Hardaway 17. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we're rocking. And I'm out. Look.